Okay, so let's move on and start putting on the sock bonnet. Okay, so I'm going to put this at 6 o'clock. Okay, I usually like to start things at 3 o'clock, but I'm going to actually start at 6 o'clock, and you'll notice that most of the needles are up, but not all the needles are up. Okay, and so once I've got them all around, I'm going to advance it a little bit for these last few needles to actually come up to hook on to the end. Okay, so let's advance. I'm going to change the camera angle so that you guys can get a better angle of what it is that we're looking at, okay, as I put on the sock bonnet. All right, so I'm going to start. I'll put the sock bonnet in here, okay. I'm going to start with these guys here, all right. So I'm going to start this one here. I'm going to put it one. These ones are a little bit harder because they're close by, okay. I'm going to put this one here 2, all right. I'm going to skip the next one. I'm going to do this one here, which is 3. It's skip, so 1, 2, skip, basically, is what I'm going to do all the way around, okay. And then I'm going to do, again, 1, 2, skip the next one, 1, 2, skip the next one, and then 1, 2, skip the next one. So you can get the general idea, okay? I'm going to go all the way around until I get to basically the end, and then we'll show you how to finish it off, basically, okay? All right, so I've put it all the way around. I'm going to pull it down a little bit, and I'm just going to advance so that I can get the ones that I'm missing here, okay? So, all right. Now I got a problem here because, of course, let's see here. We have to put in our thread here and get started on the thread. Okay, so I'm going to put 1, 2, skip, 1, 2, okay, and then I have to, before I'm going to have to put in some actual yarn, okay, so we saw that we threaded the yarn, I'm going to come through here, okay, and I'm going to, hold on a sec here, take my yarn, okay, I'm not sure if you can see it, so yeah, I'm going to go through, I've got a hole on this side, a hole on that side, so I'm going to pull the yarn through those 2 holes. Okay, and this is where the slotted yarn carrier will be so much nicer. What I tend to do is you want to have a little bit of weight on this yarn, okay, and you can hold it. I've just found that it's so much easier. I just put a little chip clip. It's enough weight, okay, in there. All right, and then you can just start slowly. You're going to pull down on it. You have a weight that you have with a belt buckle, but at the very beginning, I actually just literally pull down on the actual sock bonnet. All right, and so you want it to, okay, hold on a sec here. All right, so it looks like it's missed these 3 here, okay, so worst case scenario, I may have to, all right, because I should have, let's see here if we put it, there we go, okay, so I'm going to remove, get up, okay, there we go. So I want it to be able to hook on, for the first one, I want it to hook on to this one here. So I'm going to advance, okay, and I'm going to pull down a little bit here to make sure that it is pulling. There we go. I'm going to hold on to it as well. All right, and you want it, I'm not sure if you can see, okay, and in this case here, it's not going to want to hook for whatever reason. It's a little bit low. So I'm just going to push it down the thread to make sure that it hooks underneath the actual, oops, all right, that it actually hooks underneath, okay, as it goes by. So let's see here, is it going to hook? Yes, it does. So it's going under the hook, okay, and then that latch is going to close it up and hold on to it, okay. So there, I'm going to go, just, do you see here? I'm not sure if you're able to see on the camera here. Let's see if we can bring it down at a lower angle for you to actually see it catch, okay. All right, so let's see here. Go really slowly. All right. All right. So there's no tension on this, okay? And I should have had tension on that because, again, same thing is that it's not well, technically if there was tension on that, yeah, see, so some of them have, no, I don't like that. Okay, I tried starting it at 6 o'clock and it doesn't seem to be doing it for me. I'm not sure why, so I'm going to start it at 3 o'clock, see if I have better luck, because I usually start at 3 o'clock. I'm going to try putting in, I usually have a dumbbell, it's a 2-pound dumbbell that I put in actually into the sock to get it started, and then afterwards I remove it and then add on my belt buckle. Okay, so I'm going to try that. I'm going to put that inside here. Now again, because my sock bonnet has a closed toe, I can do that, it's not going to fall through. Okay, alright, so let's try that. Alright, so I'm going to slowly go around. I want to make sure that it's hooking as I go along. So the first row, I want to make sure it's very slow. Alright, and methodical. There we go. There we go. It seems to be working. Alright. Seems to be catching. Alright, so I'm going to hook on the rest of these here that I didn't do earlier. Okay. Hopefully my hand is not in the way, but there we go. There's that one. So I'm doing 1, 2 skip. Always make sure that your little flaps for your latch hook there are off, okay? Or, so not off, down, sorry, okay? And I'm going to put that one there, skip one, and then I'm going to put skip one, put that one there, okay? And, oops, sorry, that one, yeah, so it'll be fine, okay. All right, so let's keep going around, all right. Is it going to keep catching? Okay. Alrighty. Now once I've done the first row, I can go a little bit faster. I usually, just want to make sure that everything is catching. Okay. Alright. Now, you can have a counter. I bought myself a magnetic counter. You want to be careful with magnetic counters because you don't want to magnetize your needles. Otherwise, these lashes will, stand up and then you'll drop stitches. Okay, I haven't set up the magnetized counter at this point. I'm just counting. So every time I hit 3 o'clock, I'm going to just count 1, 2, 3. I'm going to actually do 5 rows of waste yarn at the tension that I've got. And then I'm going to engage the heel spring to see that when I get to the heel, how much tension will I have? Because if I'm going to end up engaging the heel spring and I start dropping a bunch of stitches, I'm not going to be happy. I'd rather find that out in the waste yarn than later on. Okay, so let's go around here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so right now, basically, that was basically about midway on my tension gauge there. All right. So to engage the heel spring, okay, so let's engage the heel spring, okay. So the heel spring, basically, mine is standing up right now, okay. Oops, okay, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just put the thread over, okay, and you can see, if I put it up just a little bit higher here for you to see, okay, the heel spring is engaged. Okay, so what I'm going to do, reorient the camera again, and we're going to look at how it changes the tension. And you want that because, well, at least I found the hard way that if I have a really nice tension all the way down for the hung hem, for the leg portion, the pre-heel portion, and then I get into the heel portion where I use this, and now it's too tight and I didn't realize that, I'm dropping stitches, and I did a lot of work in order to get to that point to find out, excuse me, I've got a problem. So I would rather find out in the waist yarn that I have a problem and then figure out, okay, let's ease the original tension so that when the heel spring is in action, we're going to be able to figure out if we have a problem. How do we know that the tension is starting to get too high other than the fact that you're dropping stitches? From what I've seen on various videos is that, let me actually orient the camera, I'm talking and you're not seeing anything. Okay. So the way of knowing basically is that if these loops here start to ride up, okay, that they potentially could come over in order to be able to drop the stitch. So that's something you want to be looking at whenever you're changing tension to make sure that is not the case, and that you want to back off the tension, okay? But I would just practice, like this is what I've done before, is that I just practiced a bunch of tension going back and forth just on some waist yarn, okay? So let's try it now on the new tension with the heel spring and see what happens, okay? And you're going to notice that there is more kind of resistance as you're actually cranking around, okay? Because the tension is higher, all right? So don't be surprised by that. Now you can notice immediately, okay? So you're going to notice immediately, all right? So you notice how I had the original tension, all right? And then I've got the tighter tension there, okay? It doesn't seem to be too tight. And again, it's going to be even tighter when I take it off this, right, where this is all spread out and stretched out. When I actually take it off, it's been suggested when you do kind of like a practice swatch, and I'm terrible. If you watch my, my weaving videos, you know I hate doing practice swatches. But it makes sense in this scenario because whatever yarn you've got, if you make a practice swatch, you take it off the machine, you let it sit for a little while so that it can actually retract and get to its actual shape, and then you can measure. I'll probably do a video on this because I got to learn this myself. You can measure how many stitches do you have per inch, and this way as well as this way, so that in terms of a row as well as in terms of going this way as well, so that you have a way of being able to gauge that, okay, if I want my heel and my leg length to be, I don't know, 5 inches, how many rows approximately would I need, okay? Another one that you might want to do with the swatch is also do the before you wash it and then the after you wash it, because again, depending on what material you've got, I mean, there could be shrinkage involved, and so you don't want to make a sock for somebody, find out that it's beautiful when they don't wash it, as long as they never wash it, but as soon as they wash it, they can't wear it anymore. So I would find that pretty frustrating, okay? So I'm going to go back, I'm going to take off the heel spring, so I'm just going to unhook the yarn up here, okay? And basically, let's go back now to the original tension I have. So again, in terms of it going around, it's much easier now, okay, in terms of tension, because it doesn't have that extra tension to it. And you can see, okay, you can see the difference, again, from the tighter tension to the looser tension. Now, in terms of you finding out what the proper tension is for you, you're going to have to play around with it. I have seen some videos, and I will have to do some experimentation myself, because turning the dial on my, let's see if you can see it here, turning the dial here for that kind of, in a previous video, you would have seen basically I have, it's kind of like a pointer, and there's a whole bunch of little ticks. A lot of them are kind of rubbed off a little bit, but it's not very precise, okay? So a lot of people, what they use is they use actual calipers to measure, and I've got to look into that a bit more, for the height of the cam at a particular type of yarn that you have. Again, it would be so much simpler if all yarn had the same, tension that it was needed, but I guess, depending on the company and the content of the yarn, it is different. So I do find that a little bit irritating, but I'm going to have to obviously keep a log, and, for the yarns that I use or like to use, so that I don't have to always figure it out before I actually start. Okay? All right, so let's change yarns now. Okay, so I'm going to cut this here, okay, and I'm going to remove it from my yarn mast, okay? I'm going to take this out, all right? Okay, so I'm going to take this out here, all right? Can you see that? Yeah. Okay, and I'm just going to put it down inside, all right? Now, if you recall, at the beginning there, I had put that little chip clip in there, okay? And I'm going to change the chip clip to this guy, all right? Instead, just to give it a little bit of weight for, well, actually, I'm going to attach something else in a moment. The other thing that I had put on at the beginning of the part 1 video is I had put in a dumbbell into the actual sock, okay, to start it off to give it the proper tension. Basically, you can start off with a dumbbell. I just found it worked quite well because it kind of centered everything. But generally, there are actual buckles. There's a buckle that came with mine and with weights that I actually put on for the remainder of the actual sock. So I'm going to go in, okay, and grab that dumbbell, and hope to God, be careful when you do something like this, because what ends up happening is, and you want to keep pulling it down, because as I pull this up, if it rubs against my hand, okay, what can end up happening is that I bring this right over, and then some of the yarn comes over the needles, and I've got a bunch of drop stitches, which is a nightmare. Okay, so I'm going to reorient the camera so we can actually see how to attach the belt buckle, and then I'll show you how to actually change over the yarn. Okay. Okay, so this is my sock bonnet basically from the bottom view. I'm going to attach, and I could have used, as I said, the buckle weights all the way along. I didn't have to use the dumbbell to start off with. I just find for whatever reason it worked really well for me. So this is the belt buckle, okay, and I had a really hard time figuring out how to keep this on and not fall off every time I put it on. So basically, this is going to point upwards, okay. I'm going to open this up, okay. And I'm going to put my sock in, all right? My sock is a little wider than my belt, okay? All right? And then when I've got my sock in, I want to put my eye downwards, okay? So if I put my eye downwards, you'll notice that it's not going to slip, okay? And now I'm going to attach my weight. Now, I've got multiple weights, okay? So this is one weight. I have additional weights that would stack on top of this if I want it to be heavier, okay? My dumbbell was 2 pounds. I have yet, actually, I need to actually weigh what these are to see whether or not the weight I'm putting on, if it's different, I would imagine that it might affect my tension differently as well. But at this point, I'm just showing you techniques. But if I'm doing a proper sock, I will probably, well, actually, let's check. Let's do a little bit more. Let's go reorient the camera again. And let's do a little bit more and see whether or not the weight difference has an effect. Because, again, I'm pretty sure that this is not 2 pounds there. It definitely weighs a lot less. So it will be interesting to see. Okay? Give me a second here. Okay, so I rethreaded because I changed over the thread to a different color. I rethreaded it with the blue. Clearly we started it prematurely. Okay, I cut it prematurely there. Okay, so I'm going to put it through my yarn carrier again. Okay, now when I put it through my yarn carrier, doesn't matter if it's the same yarn because, you know, maybe your spool ran out or something like that, or if it's a different color, it doesn't matter. The way you're going to start it off, okay, and I find this really irritating, so what I do, okay, so my little hook here that I have, okay, I'm going to put it through the hole, okay, all right, and you can just basically hook it on, and then it just pulls through nicely so that you're not, you know, busting your brain about that, okay? So what I'm going to do, okay, is that, I don't know if you can tell, let's see here. Give me 1 second here. Okay, you're seeing it from an aerial view, but I've taken a picture there that you can see basically what you want. So you've got the old thread here with the clip, okay? The yarn carrier has brought in the new one, but I want to make sure that when the old yarn right here, okay, has already been latched on, I can see the latch hook is up. I want to put the new yarn right beside it because the needle beside it has not actually latched. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my little chip clip, okay, and I'm going to clip both. Give me a second. I'm going to clip both of them together, okay. I'm just going to put it on the inside there, okay? And then I will go around again. Now, obviously, it'd be much easier to see over the contrast thread. We will see that shortly when I actually change over the color, okay? Give me 1 second. All right, so let's get started and see whether or not the weight that I've brought on there, whether it matches this or if the holes get bigger or smaller. I'm going to assume that they're going to probably get bigger because I think the weight is much lighter than what was in there to begin with. But let's take a look and try, okay? So I'm going to go slow to make sure everything is hooking in properly, okay? All right. The last thing you want is a drop stitch. I will do a lesson on that because I've had great practice with that, but I'd rather not do it on this video, okay? All right. Cool. All right, looks good. Okay, so let's do 5 rows, let's say, with this one here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm not sure if there's a whole lot of difference, to be perfectly honest. These ones look more square, these ones look more rectangular. So let's see if we add one more weight, what that would actually do. Okay, so let's see if I add this on here. So I've got another weight, okay, I'm just going to add it onto the actual stem, all right? Also, it is quite possible, all right, that these weights could, for whatever reason, the buckle could get loose, possibly fall down. I have a little carpet underneath to help kind of prevent any damage to my floors. Don't keep your toes there. That is not, I've never had a fall, but, you know, like, that's not a wise thing to do, because I'm sure you only do it once, okay? So let's go again another 5 to see whether or not that weight will change, okay? So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? So again, I'm not sure if it would need more or not. You know, it doesn't look like there's a huge amount of difference. I mean, the squares, as you see the squares down here versus the squares a little bit higher, they're infinitesimally a little bit bigger, okay? And again, I don't know, like in terms of the weight, let's see, if I take this and I take this, I don't know, they look close, but again, I have to actually put it on a weighing scale and find out what each one weighs, and probably mark it maybe with a silver marker or something like that, so at least I know what the combined weight will be. Okay, but again, this is just practice. I'm not going to worry too much about that. Okay, so let's switch over the yarn. Okay, again, I'm going to cut it. All right, so let's cut that. I'm going to undo this. All right, I'm going to feed. So this is the one that's the closed latch. I'm going to take it out of the carrier. I'm going to put it down here, okay? I'm going to undo this chip clip here because I don't need it, all right? All right. And I'm going to attach it to this one here. And I'll attach it to a second one in a second when I get the second yarn on there, okay? So what I'm going to do basically right now is I'm going to end the video, okay? Well, what I'll do basically is I will end the video here. And I'm going to continue it on a future video where I'm going to show you how to do a hung hem, which is basically the cuff of an actual sock. Okay, there are different types of cuffs that you can do and different types of hems, but this is the basic one. And what you want to do is that if I were to actually take this off, so if I were to run out of thread and just keep winding and have no thread, all of these would come off, and this would come, you know, I'd take your weight off first so you don't have that crash into the floor. But all of these would come off, and I could take it off the actual knitting machine. The issue with that, though, is that these are all live threads. So if I take it off the actual machine, you know, these are going to totally undo and unravel, and I don't necessarily want that, okay? So what I'm going to do, basically, I'm going to show you how to do a hung hem, and how to actually close off these stitches, okay, so that you do not have that necessarily as a problem, okay, so that you can remove it, you can save your work if you wanted to, and not necessarily have that kind of issue, okay. All right, so yeah, so let's do that, and I'll come back in the next video for that, okay. So have yourself a great day. I hope the video helped.